Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Carbonite Convos. We're now on episode 8. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to be getting into a couple different short stories from this week, including Alec's story about a little bit of the history of the Darksaber, and then we'll go into a little bit about my story about how Jango Fett got the Mandalorian armor without actually being a Mandalorian. And then we're going to get into some of the Star Wars news from this week. Some rumors, some news, some speculation, all that good stuff. So we'll get into that. A lot of that involving the character Lando Calrissian. So we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up today. So Alec, if you wanna kick it off with the Darksaber.
Yeah, man. And to reiterate your point, a lot of interesting stuff coming out this week. So with the Darksaber, the first time I was ever introduced to it was during the Clone Wars series. And immediately I was like, whoa, like I think it's pretty sweet, right? It's obviously very, very unique. So I decided to do a little bit of research on it. And obviously we found out that Tar Vizsla, the descendant of Pre-Vizsla, was the original wielder of the blade and the creator of the blade. And I definitely thought that it's really interesting to see how one piece of weaponry can mean so much to a certain group of people, and how it almost got kind of out of control over the 1,000 years that the process took to eventually be getting Darth Maul's hands. And I mean, it really, really spiraled out of control. And I thought that was really interesting to see how just one little piece of weaponry could really dictate how people operate.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the most interesting things is just seeing how, the different hands that it's gotten into. So it started off with Tar Vizsla. We see it go to Pre-Vizsla. And obviously you got into a lot more detail in your story. So if you haven't watched that, definitely go watch it really quick. It's about 3 minutes long, so it's a quick look. You can only get it on YouTube right now. So if you want to go watch that really quick and then come back. But if you have watched it, you went a lot more in depth with it. But I just think it's really interesting, again, seeing the different people that have had it throughout Star Wars history. Obviously, one of the most famous / interesting for me being Darth Maul. We got to see him with it for, a pretty significant amount of time. And then moving forward into Rebels, we see Sabine with it. So I thought that was really exciting to see that we get the Clone Wars and Rebels tie-ins pretty frequently throughout the Rebels series. But I think the Darksaber really brings it together just that much more, because the Mandalorians are clearly such a big part of Star Wars, what with, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, even though they're not Mandalorians. They have the armor, so that's when we were first introduced to it. We have a lot of comics on it. We have books. We see it in Clone Wars, Rebels, and now in The Mandalorian. So they're very significant in the Star Wars story. So it's really interesting, like you said, to see this piece of weaponry where it's not like a lightsaber where, every Jedi gets one. It's, if you have this saber, you are the leader, like you're in command. So I thought that was really cool to see it fall into the hands of someone so young, like Sabine. I think she was like 16, 17 when she had it. So that was really interesting. Then obviously she gave it to Bo-Katan. So I
like seeing her tied back in as well.
We haven't
just
really
because
gotten.
she had such an interesting arc in Clone Wars, and really developed as a character, and I liked having her back in it.
Yeah, I think it's cool in that episode, the episodes where Bo-Katan was in Clone Wars in season 7, that Sabine's mom was in the scenes as well. So I thought that was a pretty cool tie-in. But we haven't really seen Bo-Katan use it a lot. So I think that could really tie into The Mandalorian, where we see Moff Gideon clearly in the last episode. He comes out wielding the Darksaber, and the actor actually hinted a few days ago that he might be force sensitive. So you get all these factors that come in, and you just really see the evolution of where the Darksaber has been throughout history. So I think I think the story of it is just beginning, though, because I think we're going to see a lot of that in The Mandalorian between Moff Gideon, Bo-Katan, and Sabine Wren, which Moff Gideon is confirmed to be in it. Bo-Katan is confirmed to be in Mandalorian season 2. And Sabine right now is just rumored, but it's a pretty strong rumor. So I think it's going to be definitely very interesting this season 2 of Mandalorian coming out this fall.
Absolutely, man. And it's a great point. Like I said at the end of the video, hopefully we get some more information on what happened and how Moff Gideon got the saber in his hand. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think fans want that. I know we do. I think that'd be a really interesting story.
For sure. You want to get into Jango Fett?
Yeah, man, it's all you.
So what I liked about this is how different his canon story is and his legend story, because in canon he's not a Mandalorian. He claims that he's from Concord Dawn, which is in Mandalorian sector of the Outer Rim territories. That's where he claims to be from, but it's never actually concrete that in canon he's from there. We see in the Clone Wars that Mandalorian officials say that he is not a Mandalorian, and the only way that he came about that armor is that he stole it. A lot of speculation comes out that he stole it from either before or close after the Mandalorian Civil War. So that's a story in itself. But the Mandalorian Civil War pretty much divided all of the Mandalorian clans. So people were able to get in there and scoop up some ancient artifacts from the Mandalorian culture, which it's kind of unfortunate, but we're able to see these other characters wield the armor that's only set aside for, those Mandalorian warriors. So in canon, not Mandalorian, had to steal the armor. Then you go into Legends, and it's such a detailed backstory. You have in Legends, obviously we go into this in the story, he was very young. I think the difference also is like his age differs in both canon and Legends a little bit, because in the Mandalorian Civil War at the beginning of it, he was pretty young. I want to say about like 6 to somewhere between 6 and 10. And the Death Watch actually killed his parents and sister. And there was I can't remember the word for it, but it was a Mandalorian journeyman. I wasn't too sure what that was, called Jasper Muriel. He ended up rescuing Jango and raising him as his son. And, we see a little of that process in Mandalorian season 1. We learn a little bit about foundlings where, they're not born Mandalorians, but they're found so little that they can be adopted into the culture and raised as one of their own. So that's pretty much what Jango was. So he was able to rightfully wear the Mandalorian armor instead of in canon him just stealing it, because I know in canon it says that he just steals it. He wears it because it's very fierce. Obviously, Mandalorian warriors are some of the best in the galaxy, so it isn't a surprise that Jango Fett would wear that, wanting to look fierce. And I went into it a little bit, but Jango also doesn't have one of the best armors. It's really cool looking, but as we found out in Mandalorian season 1, the armor's made out of Beskar, which is a really, really protective metal. It's able to, I can't think of the word. It's able to
deflect lightsabers and blasters and all that.
Exactly. So it's able to do that. But what they found was Beskar was so rare that they had to find other cheaper materials, more available materials, so they could make more of the suits. So while they're still protective, they're not nearly as protective as Beskar. But I think that kind of goes to show how talented Jango and Boba Fett are. One thing I also found out was that Jango and Boba, it's not the same armor. It looks very similar. I thought that Boba Fett had his dad's armor, and it was just very faded because he had the same armor, he had the same ship, but apparently it's not. It's a completely different armor, and we see that I can't remember if it was in Clone Wars or a comic, but Boba actually used his Jango's helmet as a bomb to try to kill Mace Windu. Clearly it didn't work, but it is really interesting, the story of Jango Fett. I think we should do one about Boba soon too, because if, in canon, if Jango had to steal it and they have different armors, then somehow Boba had to get his hands on one too. So I think that could be a good story for sure.
I like the earlier you mentioned that in Legends that Jango was actually a foundling, and I mean it just makes the connection to the Mandalorian series that Mando and then potentially the child, I don't know,
Yeah.
are foundlings and obviously Mando's grown old and become worthy enough to wear the Mandalorian armor and wear the crest of the what's the animal, the horned animal,
The Mudhorn.
the Mudhorn. Thank
He
you.
doesn't wear it. I didn't think he.
That he was gifted the crest at the end of the season.
Yeah, but that's the Mandalorian logo in the Mudhorn is different because from what I thought, because I thought the Mudhorn was the animal that the child helped him escape.
It is.
And that's not the same, because we see that I'm looking around for a logo here. I gotta have one, but that's not the same as the Mandalorian logo. That's a different
No, I know, but what's the armor? She said that you were worthy, even though the child helped him. He was still worthy of wearing the crest of the Mudhorn, because he was able to admit that, and that they're going to go on to this journey together.
Gotcha. And
I don't know if they actually ever stamped it or whatever onto his armor or not, but she deemed him worthy of that crest.
Yeah. Going back to your original comment, just to clarify, it's actually not said that he was a foundling, because from what I've read, I think that the word foundling came from the Mandalorian series. So I don't think that had been a thing before that series. It the idea has been around where you're either born a Mandalorian or you're adopted into the culture at a very young age. But I didn't think they had a word for it, because when I was doing my research, it never said that he was a foundling. I just connected the dots that
I gotcha.
That's what they call it now.
Same concept though.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's all we have for the two short stories from this week. We don't want to stay on those too long, because obviously we had the videos come out. So let's get into some Star Wars news. Let's talk a little Lando Calrissian.
I know. Yeah, I'm excited.
Definitely. Which one would you be more excited for? The show about with what's his name? I know him as Childish Gambino.
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover or Billy D. Williams. Which one are you?
To be honest, man,
let's hear
I'm a little bit more excited for the Donald Glover one.
Really? Why is that?
Just because I thought he killed it in Solo, man. Absolutely killed it. Just because the fact that in the other one, Lando's going to be a little bit older, a lot of it older, and I don't think it's going to be what's the girl's name?
Jana.
I think it's going to be mostly based around her, and her story. Just Lando kind of being along for the ride, maybe giving her guidance and being like a mentor. But with this potential thing with Donald Glover, I'm personally a bigger fan of backstories.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why I'm such a big fan of the prequels. But I'd like to know more about what happened in the past that has led up to this point, rather than with Billy D. Williams being in his. I mean, he's got to be what? How old do you think he is now?
I think he's in his 70s.
He's got to be, right? But I'm just because I think Donald Glover, obviously, the way he talks, the way his mannerisms, the way he dresses in Solo, I mean, obviously will continue to be the same, but I just, that's just my personal opinion, and I'm a little bit more excited to hear about things that happened in the past. Hopefully, I don't know if have they said about a time range it would be?
No, it's not even confirmed that it's. Oh wait, no, it is confirmed that he's reprising his role, but there's really not a lot of information that came out. When I saw the news, I was just trying to think of the characters we could see, and I think the biggest one that I thought of was Darth Maul. because think of how popular that character is. Everybody loves him. Obviously, there was a surprise twist at the end of Solo. At the end of the first Solo movie. Hopefully, there'll be a second. I don't know why I said the first Solo movie, but we get that big twist with Darth Maul. So I think it could possibly lead to us seeing Darth Maul again, which, they're going to go, Lucasfilm and Disney are going to go with what's going to make them money. And Darth Maul is a moneymaker, obviously. He is one of the most well-known Star Wars characters up to this point now. So I think we could definitely see him again. I was trying to think of some of the other characters that we could see.
I don't hate the idea of seeing him more. I think I think people are going to be upset that they're playing towards another character they've done 1,000 times, but I mean,
who cares?
Dude,
we'll watch him. Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
He's sweet. Like, what else could you ask for, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. So if it's before Solo, we're not going to see Han Solo. We're not going to see Chewbacca. We might see Kira. We could see Kira because they've had a past.
Right.
Probably won't. Well, I don't think we're going to see Beckett in either of the movies. I think Kira could go either way for both. And I think personally that Chewbacca would be a really big character in a Lando series. I'm not saying like a sidekick like he is to Han, but I think he could make some appearances for sure, because I think a way to tie in this new generation of Star Wars fans is with these characters from the original movies, from the prequels. And Chewbacca is one of the classic characters that he was there in the prequels, he was there in the original, and he was there in the sequel. So theoretically, he could be in anything in between. And I think they need to utilize that because the fans love him. I don't think there's a person on this planet who hates Chewie. So I think that could be a big
one. I definitely agree with you. And Chewbacca, I think, would be good. I don't think having Han in there would be a great idea. But to your point, yeah, it would probably tie in some younger fans. But I think if obviously Han went out in a very respectful way, right, in a very tragic and emotional way. So I think at bringing him back on the screen, even though it would probably be a different actor.
Well, it'd be Alden Ehrenreich. Like, it wouldn't be Harrison Ford.
Well, I know it wouldn't be Harrison Ford, but yeah. I don't know.
They already brought him back.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Because a lot of people want Solo too. So
right.
Clearly that's what the people want. So it's come out that Alden Ehrenreich has no clue what's going on with Solo 2. There's nothing really confirmed, no rumors. There was one floating around in January, forget where it was from, that Solo 2 was being talked about heavily, but I think they've kind of backed off from it from now. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other stuff about Donald Glover's Lando before we get into Billy D. Williams, because I actually am very excited for that. But of course, after we stop the video, I'm sure I'll think of a lot of stuff. But jumping into Billy D. Williams, obviously I'm excited for both, but this is how I am with Star Wars a lot. I guess I'm equally excited because I love Billy D. Williams. I think he's the man. He's the original Lando. And at the way they were advertising Rise of Skywalker was, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. So everybody's flipping out, not flipping out, but they're like, oh, this is the end. This is the end. And then you have people, after watching Rise of Skywalker, they're like, how could you leave so many questions up in the air? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to realize maybe they're not going to make a trilogy. I think they will make another trilogy along this timeline again. That's just me. I think they might do it in another 10, 15 years. But everybody's freaking out about all the open-ended questions that they left up in the air after the 9th movie. And I was just sitting there thinking, yeah, there might not be a trilogy coming out soon, but Disney Plus is here to stay. All of these streaming platforms are here to stay, and they're clearly moneymakers. People watch them. They're easy. It's the future of like live TV and not binging, because I remember Mandalorian. I watched it every day it came out. Clone Wars every day when it came out. So they're going back to these TV shows instead of binging them all in one day. They're spacing them out. So with all the questions they left open in Rise of Skywalker, they did that on purpose for this exact reason. Now we're most likely going to be getting a Lando Calrissian Janna Disney Plus series. So it just kind of got on my nerves that everybody was, oh no, we're never going to find out these answers. How could they do this to us? It's like, you have to take a step back. Stop being so emotional. Like, think of it rationally. Think of it like a business person.
There's money to be made in that.
Exactly. End of the Skywalker saga. Sure. But you have TV, you have animated series, live action. There's plenty of stuff to further the Skywalker saga, which is why it's never truly over. We're never going to stop getting more content on these characters. The Bad Batch, I'm sorry, but they're in the Skywalker saga too. So there is no end to the Skywalker saga. But I'm really excited because we could also get, I think there's a possibility of getting some of the sequel actors. It's clear that we will not be seeing John Boyega. I'm actually kind of disappointed. Not that he's taking back from Star Wars, because I get it. You want to pursue other things, but it kind of seems to me like he's just lashing out against the Star Wars fandom. I could be wrong. Who am I to make judgments about him? I've always really, really liked John. I think he killed the role. I think they could have done a little bit better with his character arc, but it's kind of sad the way he's like, he answered a fan, LOL, no, I'm done with that. It's like, all right, come on, man. Like, a lot of us really liked your character, just because these other, I don't know, fans hated everything about it. Like, you don't have to like bash it like that. But I think he really likes Star Wars. I just think it's unfortunate how it's played out. Because it was weird. Like 2 weeks ago, he was quoted saying, yeah, I'd be open to returning the role. I just don't want to be in a sidekick role. So where did this come from? There had to have been a breaking point. But personally, I don't think we're going to see Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, or Oscar Isaac. I think they're pretty much out because of all the backlash this toxic fandom has done to them. But it's not all the fans' fault. Disney did some too, but I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But I think there's a lot of, we could see more Maz Kanata. We could see.
Love that.
Yeah.
There's obviously when our episode about Bausch, there's so much that she had to have been a part of with the rebellion.
Yeah. And they didn't really use her. Like, they used her I think they introduced her very well in The Force Awakens, and then Last Jedi, you don't see her. But you don't see her, but you don't see her very much. You see her for like maybe a minute. And then I think the most significant thing she did in Rise of Skywalker was hand Chewbacca the medal. I wish it was in view, but I got it hanging up there. She hands Chewbacca the medal from A New Hope. But I'd love to see more of her. We could get more of Carrie Fisher's daughter, Lieutenant Connix. There's a lot of stuff we could see about this. There's a lot of ways they could go with this series, so it should be pretty exciting.
No, I agree. I'm kind of just throwing this out there, but it'd be really cool to see. Obviously, Maz had a very small part in the sequel trilogy in each movie.
Yeah.
I could potentially see, because I think people like her. I could potentially see that being somewhat of like a Yoda situation, not to the same caliber in any way, because Yoda is an all-time favorite, but his role initially started as just being a part-time thing,
guiding them,
and then Maz is in a similar situation, old, like obviously been through a lot. She's smart, had a small but important role in everything.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. She knows how everything works. She knows like how the Force works. How
that's what I was going to say.
The rebellion works. Force. She knows what's up. And I think it could be kind of like the Yoda situation where all of a sudden her purpose was to do something very small but important, and then all of a sudden she just takes off and has obviously a big impact.
Definitely, I think it could happen.
I'd love for that to happen.
Seen any Maz. I've never seen a lot of Maz content. Well, no, I've never seen a lot of Maz hate, like people like hating on Maz Kanata. she clearly has a very big past with Han Solo and Chewie. So if Solo 2 ever does happen, I think that could be a possibility to see her as well. But I think
cool.
the last, is my audio sounding all right to you? Because I'm getting a little static.
Yeah, it's like breaking up a little bit, but not bad.
Okay, maybe it was my connection. I think the last piece I have, I'm just looking at our social media stuff right now. Something sticks out. Wait, sorry, give me 1 sec. There was one more thing. Quick rumor that was. Also, I know what it was. Taika. I always meant Taika Waititi. He's officially begun writing his Star Wars movie, so that's going to be really awesome. Can't wait.
Is there
to see
any
that.
word on like any topic it's going to be, or?
I think this is one of the movies outside the Skywalker saga, so I think this is going to be completely new.
That's fine. It'll be kind of cool to have the surprise.
Yeah, dude, how nuts would it be? I don't think this is going to happen, so I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying, like, how crazy would it be if this whole universe they're making separate from the Skywalker saga, they're making it completely separate. How crazy would it be if that was like part of the Marvel universe? How nuts would that be? That'd be pretty cool.
Have you heard all those like fan theories that like, oh, this crossover is going to take place when the dimension breaks and the crossover is going to happen? You're going to have Iron Man flying around with Darth Vader. Like, I don't know.
Shoot, I'm sorry. We could say like, I don't like that, but I'm sorry. But if a Darth Vader Iron Man movie came out, I would be the first in line.
That'd be actually pretty dope. I would definitely be there opening night.
For sure.
Camping out early.
Definitely.
I mean, dude, that'd be crazy.
It would.
I'm actually, while you're on the topic of just like theories, I would love if like the Waititi movie, or if they continued with some sort of like, obviously how the Marvel's going to be doing the What If series.
Yeah.
I'd love a What If series for Star Wars. So what if Yoda wouldn't have survived Order 66, for example? Like anything along those lines. Like what if I don't know, what if Qui-Gon would have killed Maul back on, you know what I'm saying?
I think that'd be
those
really
sort of things. I love that, and hopefully that's what they're doing. So.
Yeah, and for anybody who also would like to watch that, I know Star Wars Theory. It's a YouTube channel. He does some. They're not called what ifs, but I think they're called fan theories, where he says, "Okay, what if Qui-Gon didn't die? Blah 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 blah. What if Palpatine would have died in Revenge of the Sith?" And then he goes off into that. So that he has some really interesting stuff. Personally, I think that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
No, man, I'm good.
Sounds good. Before we go, we just got our first batch of stickers in. I know it's backwards, but Carbonite Combos, I was able to put it on my pop socket. So I think we might be doing some pop socket giveaways in the future, selling them a couple. But let us know if you want a sticker. We'll be happy to send you some. Again, if you're not following us on social media, please do that. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the big stuff. We're trying to get better with social media just so we can interact with all you guys. We appreciate the support. All in all, thank you guys again, and may the Force be with you.
Thanks, guys.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.